There is a stretch of water just 21 miles wide where the entire global economy holds its breath. 1/5 of all the oil the world burns passes through it every single day. If it closes, gas stations run dry, prices double, economies that took decades to build start to crack in weeks. And here is the frightening part. This is not a hypothetical. It has already happened before, and it was a bloodbath. This is the story of the Strait of Hormuz, the most dangerous water on earth. To understand why this thin channel terrifies economists, you have to go back to the 1980s. Iran and Iraq were locked in one of the bloodiest wars of the century. 8 years, hundreds of thousands dead, trenches, chemical weapons, a conflict that looked like the First World War reborn. But by 1984, the war spilled into the sea, and it changed the rules of the global economy forever. Iraq made a calculation. If it couldn't beat Iran on land, it would strangle its economy at sea. So Iraqi jets began hunting Iranian oil tankers. The lifeblood of Iran's economy set on fire one ship at a time. Iran struck back. If its oil couldn't flow safely, then neither would anyone else's. They fired on ships from neutral countries. They laid naval mines in the water, like invisible traps. The first tanker went to the bottom in 1985. It would not be the last. Before it ended, over 400 ships would be attacked. The world had a name for it, the tanker war, and insurance companies panicked. The cost of shipping oil through the strait exploded. Global crude prices spiked 25% almost overnight. This is when the United States made a decision that would drag it directly into the fire. Kuwait, terrified its oil exports would collapse, asked Washington for protection. America agreed, and the plan was audacious. They would take Kuwaiti tankers, repaint them with the American flag, and escort them through the strait under the guns of the US Navy. They called it Operation Earnest Will, and on the very first day, it nearly ended in disaster. The lead tanker, the Bridgerton, struck an Iranian mine. It did not sink, but it sent a message. No one out here was safe. For months, the tension coiled tighter. Then, in 1987, tragedy struck from an unexpected direction. An Iraqi jet, an ally of America in this war, mistook a US frigate for an enemy. It fired. 37 American sailors died. It was an accident. A case of mistaken identity in a chaotic, crowded sea. Remember that phrase, it comes back. Then in April 1988, another US warship struck an Iranian mine. This time, America decided to hit back hard. Operation Praying Mantis. The US Navy attacked Iranian oil platforms and warships. They sank an Iranian frigate. It became the largest American naval battle since the Second World War. The strait was now a war zone in everything but name, and the crews on those American ships were exhausted, jumpy, and afraid. That fear set the stage for what happened on the morning of July 3rd, 1988. The darkest moment of the entire crisis. The US Vincennes was in a gun battle with Iranian speedboats. In the chaos, its radar picked up an aircraft climbing out of a nearby airport. The crew believed it was an Iranian F-14 fighter descending to attack. They had seconds to decide. The warnings went unanswered. The captain gave the order. 2 missiles left the ship, but it was not a fighter jet. It was Iran Air Flight 655, a civilian passenger plane on a routine 28-minute hop to Dubai. All 290 people aboard were killed. 66 of them were children. It remains one of the deadliest disasters in aviation history. A catastrophe born not from malice, but from stress, confusion, and a crew that got 7 minutes catastrophically wrong. Years later, America paid over $60 million to the families, but the wound never fully closed. And then, after 8 years of blood and fire, the tanker war revealed its strangest truth. Despite everything, the oil never actually stopped flowing. Not really. Iran threatened again and again to close the strait completely, but it never did, and the reason is the key to understanding everything. Iran couldn't close the strait because Iran's own economy depended on that same water. To choke the world, it would have to choke itself first. This is the paradox that has kept the strait open for 40 years. Everyone has a gun pointed at the water, but no one can pull the trigger without bleeding themselves. A fragile, terrifying balance, held together not by peace, but by mutual desperation. And that brings us to today. Because in 2026, that balance is being tested again. New tensions, new attacks on shipping, the same narrow water, the same threats to close it, the same warships circling. The tools have changed. The stakes have not. 20% of the world's oil still threads through a channel you could cross in an afternoon. And every time the guns come out, the entire global economy feels it. Prices at pumps thousands of miles away. In countries with no stake in the fight at all. The Strait of Hormuz is a reminder of something you prefer to forget, that the modern world, for all its power, still balances on a few narrow points of failure. A thin channel of water, a handful of desperate players, and an economy of 8 billion people holding its breath, waiting to see who blinks. So far, no one has closed it. So far,